Good morning, everyone. It's Ann Hine. Welcome. I'm getting things set up, so if you're just popping on, I'm going to get my comments going in just a moment as I get to where I need to be. Let's see here. All right, hope everybody's doing well this morning. I'm going to go find our video like everyone else does. Here we go. Now I got it. I'm going to put on my comments, and if you're out there, you can post a comment. If not, I just hang out here. I know there's a couple of you out there, so welcome this morning. I'm Ann Hine, and this is AD Skill Builder. Good morning, Anna. Welcome. We'll have a few people this morning. It takes a little while. I usually hang out here for 5 minutes or so, so everybody can find the page and get situated. If you need to go print the class notes, I have those, so you can do that too. All right. Welcome, Marty. Welcome, and Gwendolyn. Dee is here. Carol. We have a very cold day here. We had that nice weather. You know, we had like a 60 or 70 degree day, one or two of those, and now 32. Hi, Christine. Hi, Susan. Welcome. And Lynn, welcome. Yeah, we'll have more people popping them. Hi, Joan. Welcome. So I did post the class notes. If you wanted to go pick those up, you're welcome to pop out and print those. Hi, Christine. Welcome. And we'll get started at the top of the hour. I do have the little timer on, so I follow that. Hope everybody's doing well. Oh, Susan's getting her Elna Press today. Good for you. Good for you. Hi, Kathy. Welcome. I do like the Elna Press, and I actually have two. One is my personal one that I got, and then the company sent me one for a demo. So I have that. I have the new one they're using now. I don't have the top of the line one. I think I have the next one down, I think, which is fine. They're all very nice. Good morning, Amy. Welcome. Good to see you. So, hi, Kathy. Welcome. Let's see, who else? Did I miss anyone? I don't think so. Very good. Yeah, we just have a little bit more time. Oh, you're on a plane. Yes, Amy is our Elna Press queen. She knows everything about the Elna Press. If I have any questions, I usually ask her, as she knows them. So you're leaving on a jet plane, are you? Good for you. Good for you. Oh, are you coming home from somewhere or going to somewhere? I know there was a show this past weekend, I think in Atlanta. I think there was an OSQE show in Atlanta. So things are restarting. They're starting to have some events now, so that's nice. So you may see us out and about. Press secretary. Yes. I love that, Amy. Your press secretary. That's perfect. That is perfect. Yes. All right. So we just have a couple more minutes, less than a minute now, and then we'll get started on our topic for today as we work through our skill builder. If anyone's wondering, we're talking about the Elna Press. It is Janome has a lineup of them, and they're branded under the Elna side of the company. They're wonderful for not only pressing your clothes, but those of us who create crafting, if we do crystals, if you're adding any kind of fusible, pressing your fabrics before you embroider on them. They're great for that. If you use Terrio Magic and then you want to press it, make it really stiff, the press is the way to go. That amount of pressure coming down, the constant even heat, all those things work good together. So I don't know what's beeping here, so we'll get rid of that. All right, so I'm going to put the webcam on, and give you a good morning. There we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome. All right. So if you're new, I'm Ann Hine, and you are watching AD Skill Builder. This is Skill Builder 11, so I can't believe we're that far along. I do 2 of these a week, one for Skill Builder on Tuesdays, and then on Thursday, same time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, I do one for called AD Create It. It's more project oriented there, and this week we're going to be creating some vinyl cutting for both the sticky type and the iron-on type. So we're going to work on that, and then the following week on Thursday I'll be at the cutter and I'll show you how to use that. That's what I did last week. I was at the cutter and I showed some things there. So on Tuesdays we stick to the software, and we're learning our software bit by bit as we go along. If this is your first time watching, all the other skill builders from Skill Builder 1, I highly recommend you start with Skill Builder 1. They're the first ones are an hour and a half, but I try to keep them to an hour. And they kind of build on themselves, so we really start at the beginning, so I think that's a great way to start. And they're all found on our page, the Janome Artistic Digitizer page, the page you're on right now. This is the official Janome page. We only have one Janome Artistic Digitizer page. So this is the official page. And under the guides at the top, there's a banner at the top of our page. Below there, you'll see the word guides. All the videos I've done are in the guides. And I'm slowly moving over any videos I've done on the other Janome pages. We have a Janome Sewing Machine page, and we have a Janome Classroom page. So when I've done anything over there, I'm putting the links under guides so you can see some of those videos too. And some of those are rather old, like when we first started doing our videos, and things have come a long way in a year. So, and that is amazing. We've been, doing this a whole year. I think my first video is at the end of this month. So I have to go look at the dates. I'm not really sure what the date of that is. All right, I'm going to check my comments over here before we get started and see if there's anything happening before. Hi, Shirley. Oh, Amy's heading to Tampa. Very nice. There's if you're in the Tampa area, there's an OSQE there this weekend. That's Original Sewing, and Quilting Expo. They're a lot of fun to go to. You can pop by the booth and say hi to Amy, or say, "Are you Ann or Amy?" We get confused in the booth sometimes. Good morning, Tanya. Welcome. Let's see. And Henriette is here. Well, welcome, welcome. Yes, and Amy says the press is great for vinyl. I'll be showing that next week when I do next week when I do the cutter. All right, so this week we're going to start with a little bit of a review of some past things. I think it's good to have a review every once in a while. And then if someone happens to pop on and watch this video without watching the other ones, they get a little review too. So some of the things I'm covering today in the review, all these things have been covered in probably the first 3 skill builders. So if you need to brush up, you can always go there and take a look at those on that part of it. If you wanted to save any of the videos to your page, you can do that. There's 3 little dots off to the side. If you click there, it says save, and you can save it. You can actually make a grouping of videos on your own page if you like to do that, so you can have them there. Or if you know that they're all at the on the digitizer page, you can always go there to find them. All right, so I'm going to move to the software and start the little review, and we'll go back and forth. I will be checking for questions. If you post a question and I miss it, post it again. Sometimes other people answer for me. That's wonderful. And then if I totally miss it, I go back after in the afternoon and I answer any questions then. So if I totally miss it, I'll catch it there. If I totally miss it even there, you can either PM me or post it again to the page. And I apologize for that. Sometimes things go by really fast. They get lost in the feed. So, if you don't get an answer, don't feel bad. Just ask again. It's not a problem. I don't think you're nagging me or anything like that or bugging me. All right. So let me go ahead and I'll put the software on. And we'll go from there. Let's see here. Let me get let's see. We unzoomed here, so that was always good. And here we go. Software. There we are. Now we're in software. All right. I want to start on the welcome page. And do a little bit of a review here because we've had some new people join. And so when you're on the welcome page, there are some things that you can set up for your default machine. So right here, this right here is where you check your default machine in Hoop. And right now I have it set for an MB4 because I was helping somebody with an MB4. But I actually have a 15, so I would pick the 15. And I like to have the largest hoop available. And I can always change it in the program, but this way I have it available right away. I can start my designing. And I don't usually change hoop until I get to the end anyway. So this way I have the most space to work with. Under here is my fabric and my embroidery type. So these are the embroidery categories right here. And sometimes it depends on what I'm doing. I'll pick different ones. This is how the embroidery looks. Smooth is going to have a lighter look to it. Normal and heavy is going to have a heavier look to your embroidery. And then over here, well, this is where you can pick your color background. And then over here are the textures that you could put behind your fabric. So if you like a texture, you can pick one of these. And then like this denim. But if you like it white, like I do, you can make it white. So you have the white, but then you'll have the little bit of the denim texture behind and it's hard to see with white, but you'll have a denim texture behind there. Sometimes it's nice to see that, to see how it looks with the texture behind there. I pretty much just like the plain white myself. And it's easier for me when I demo it to you. I can see it that way. So that's what I choose. And then you just click OK down here. The other thing is the help files. So you can select help here. It's always available right here. And within the help, you have a couple of ways to look at it. When you click the help at the bottom, it takes you to the searching portion. So you can go through the contents, you can do an index, or you can do the search. And you could type a word in here and search for something like, let's say, like that. Whoops, maybe I could spell. Let's see, let's take this out because I cannot spell today. I should watch what I'm doing. All right, there we go, search. And then it'll come up with your topics and you pick one and it'll be over on the side here. The other way, and I'm going to close that, the other way, when you go up here to help, you can pick the help topics where we just were, or the printable help. So the printable help looks like this, and you can, well, actually I'm down a few pages, but you can take this and put it on a USB stick and take it someplace to print it. The thing is, when you print this, you must remember when we do an update, they update the manual too, but they integrate in everything. They don't tell you what pages it is. So some people printed after we did a 1.5 and then we did 1.6. So someone very kindly updated those pages for us. So you'll find those in the guides if you take a look. I think it's in the first section. So it'll give you what was added and then the pages and where to slip them in. So I just caution you, it's 500 pages of manual. You can print it if you like. Sometimes I just print a few pages that I need. So it works out for me that way. It's a little easier than that. But you're welcome to take it and have it printed. All right, so let me close that and get back to the software. All right, and the other thing, let's see. I think that's everything on the welcome screen. Your videos are over here on the right-hand side. These are the videos that are built into the program. They add, I don't know if you notice on our page, occasionally there'll be a short video put out by the developer. Those are uploaded into here, I think monthly, and they go to a YouTube page too. So as long as you're on internet, you'll get the tutorials there, and you can enlarge them. Now, sometimes people don't see their tutorials because there's a little tiny triangle here where your page might be closed. So you can click there and open them, maybe. There, wait, hang on a second. There we go. So you can click there and open them. All right, and you can make your things larger. So you can find more about the welcome page if you go to the Skill Builder 1, 2, and 3. I covered setting things up quite heavily, and we talked about using browse and open and create new there. So let's go to the workspace, and I'll do a little bit of stuff there. So you can see the background here with that's like a denim background on there, which isn't my favorite. I usually like just the plain over here, but that's okay. In the workspace, and let me put something on my workspace so we can, one of the things you want to remember is some things will show and some tools won't show based on what is on your workspace. So you have to remember that if you can't find something, it's probably because the software doesn't see something on your workspace that tool could be used with. So that's something you want to think about sometimes. And my tool is active because it's blue, and if I hit select, it turns that tool off. So under view, I just want to cover a couple things under view. And maybe if I scroll into, we can see this a little bit better. Possibly, let me see. All right, so you can kind of see there's a little texture here with stitches. You have a choice. You could be in stitches or without stitches. I'm working in embroidery. I do like to have the stitches. And when you do stitches, you get more options here. I did a whole thing on customized UI colors. That pertains to what color your selection box is, the box that this is your selection box, that blue box. You can change the colors of a lot of different things that you choose. And here's, when you open it, you can see, here's all the things, your selection area, your hoop limits, that's that pink area, that's the area around the pink area. Your error fill, that's that pink area. All these different things, your different grid line colors you can change, and your work area, what you want your work area to be. So you can play around with those, so just so you know that they're there. Let's close that. Let's see here, I got to get my cursor in the right spot. There we go. I have things covering things. You can also turn your grid on and off. I have my grid off, so you can turn it on and off. You also have a shortcut key here. Now I'm on a Mac, so it's showing the Mac shortcut, but you could actually, there's one for the PC too. And you can show your guidelines or not show, or have them snap. You can show your hoop or not show your hoop. So those things are there. Your toolbars right here, if you should close your properties or your colors and not be able to find them, you can come here and turn them back on. All right. And down here, you can save current workspace as default. So if you set your workspace up, I have my workspace up set a certain way, and I want it to open that way every time. I can click save here, and it will open my workspace that way every time. The hoop, I'll have the hoop. I like the hoop there. I like it white. I like no grid lines, and so it keeps all those settings so that you can have those easily for you. All right, what else is on here? All right, and okay, the other thing is down here on these, if you wanted to change the color, sometimes I think when the software you first load it, these are white and they're very hard to see. So if you, that's not what I wanted, here we go. Let me get this one here. You can change your default colors here, and I did a whole thing on changing your default colors. So you may want, and you can select your defaults. Maybe your lettering, you only want to have it as a fill. You don't want any outlines on your lettering, so you can choose that. You can choose the same thing with your shapes. You can have outlines and fills for your shapes, or maybe you only want to have outlines for when you use shapes. So you can choose that, and you can choose the colors. So that's in one of the first 3 or 4 videos also. The other thing I want to show is changing from inches to millimeters. And on my Mac, it is under I go under my, you can't see it because it doesn't show on the video for some reason, but up here it says artistic, and I click on preferences. If you're have a PC, you would go to tools and tool options, and you would open this window here. And here is your changing from, you can change from inches to metric or from metric to inches. So what it means is, I am in inches right now. If I wanted to go to metric, I would select right here. So if you're in metric and you want it to go 2 inches, you'll see 2 inches and you'll pick it there. And then I'll explain a couple other things. When you're in either inches or metric, and you want to input something in the other type. So say I'm always in inches, but sometimes I like to use a metric number like 9 millimeter, because that's a stitch length I understand, or stitch width. So I can put in 9 mm in the little box in my properties. So let's select this. If I wanted to change this to millimeters, I could, up here I could make that millimeters. Let me go to outline. My outline width is 0.16. So let's make it a satin, and I'm going to make the, I'm going to use 2 millimeter for my outline. So I put 2 mm, if you notice over here, and enter, and it changes it. It gives you the inch equivalent. So if someone is teaching you and they're teaching with metric numbers, you don't have to change to a metric. You can just put your metric number that they give you. If you like to be in metric and I give you something in inches, you just input what the inch is. Maybe it's, let's say, 1/4 inch. So you would put 0.25 IN, and it would change for you there. Okay. All right. Oh, I'm 1 hour early. Oh, okay. Yeah, we had daylight saving time. Yes, it changes here. I don't know where that I think that's only a US thing. We are strange. I wish they would do away with that. All right, so that's inches, and then default colors and your palette. Oh, let me show you that too. That would be under tools, tool options. In this window here, I gotta move something out of the way. I can pick my palette here, what palettes I want, and then I can pick my default palette, which would be at the top of the list. Janome is my default one, and okay. When you change from inches, I forgot to mention, when you change from inches to metric, you have to select it, close your software, reopen it, and then it changes for you. Okay, let me just go back. All right. I know, really. All right, so let's see. The other thing, we talked about this last week, or maybe I covered it. I think I covered it in your class. I might have covered it in the Thursday class. When you are going to convert something, and let's say this, we'll use this JPEG here. We have these choices here, and maybe I want to auto-digitize it. I can crop the picture if I want, so I don't have to have all of Cheeto's extra parts in there if I don't want them. And then when I select OK, what I want to point out is we have an option down here, trace as artwork. And then you have your camera, which can give you a better saturation, so you can move that up a little bit. And I'm going to put this at 15 because I think it's a good number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace as artwork. And when I hit trace, it's going to load it in, and then there's no stitches here right now. I can apply stitches to these parts by selecting it. Sometimes working in this direction rather than auto-digitizing it all over to stitches is a little easier for some people. And that way, if there's parts you don't want, like maybe there's too much of this in the eye here, so these little parts, I can delete these little parts out of here if I don't want all that shading before I go ahead and create that shape. All right, if that makes any sense. So I like to show you that. That's that trace as artwork, that feature there. And we covered that maybe on Thursday, and then last week on Tuesday. So that would be Skill Builder 10 or Create It 10. The other thing I want to talk about is saving. And there's lots of ways to save. Many of us like to go here, and you can't see it on mine, but there's File up here, File, and you get Save As. And when you do that, you get your window, and you can choose. Now, I am on a Mac, so it's a little bit different view than what you get on your PC. But in your PC, you'll have your tree of things, and you pick where you want it. Then you'll have some folders, and you could pick within the folder you want. And here, I have a working folder, and maybe I want to put it in my class folder. And so that's the same thing you would be doing on your PC. You would be selecting the folders where you want it to go. And I just want it to go in my class folder right here. I can name it up here. And I can, when I save it the first time, if I'm working on something, I want to edit it again, I always save as a draw, but then you can also save as a GIF. All right, so you can do that. So I'm going to cancel this for a minute. Well, no, maybe I'll save it. And we're going to save it as a draw. So once you save it, and you could use File, Save As if you want, or I could have come here and done Save. But now that I saved it once, this save is like my, I guess it's my save. It just saves any changes I make to it. So let me show you another thing. We'll just bring this SVG in here. If I hit save here now, this is new, all right, I haven't named it. See Cheetos over here. I didn't name it. I can select save here, and I get the same window. And I can go ahead and save this as, we'll do Lizzie, and save, and it's going to go in my Skill Builder folder. Let's see if we can, there we go. It's going to be in my Skill Builder folder, and save. Once you save it and it has a name, then this save becomes the like the auto save on there. So the first time you use it, it gives you the option to name it and save it. Any time after that, it will just resave whatever you have. If you wanted to save it in a different name, you would have to go to File, Save As. Okay, just to clear that up. All right, I'm going to double check. Are there any questions so far on this part of it? Has everybody been able to find the guides and taken a look in there at all? I'll take a little pause here for a moment. Hopefully you're being able to find things there. All right, everybody's so quiet today. All right, so I think we're good. We haven't, I always like to take a little bit of a pause because it takes a while for the questions to come through. All right, so everybody's good. Thank you, Henriette. Thank you. Okay, now, let's see what else. And Marty, thank you, thank you. All right, so let's get to our topic today. I want to finish up, this is part 3 in our series, and we've been talking about how to bring things into the program and then what to do with them once we bring them in. So what I want to do today is finish up going over the last 3 in the Auto Digitize window, and that's cross stitch, photo stitch, and my very, very favorite paint stitch. I did show on here in the manual where those things are. Oh, hi Kathleen, welcome. It's nice when you can come and you can visit live. All right, so let's go ahead and bring something in and make it a cross stitch. So I'm going to go back to my, let me see if I go to my browser. Well, let's see, it's on my welcome screen because I usually have some things here I can work with. All right, let's see here. A lot of SVGs. I don't want an SVG. What I want is well, maybe I'll have to go to my, all right, let's go to my folders. And I'm going to go to my artwork folder here, artwork clip art, and I'm just going to bring in something, oh, not that one, here. What's nice, this is a Daily Art Hub design. I want to point out, a lot of them, they give you the JPEG and the SVG and sometimes the PNG. SVGs will convert quickly over to stitches, and then you can work with them from there. But what I want to do is I want to take this, and I'm going to open it as cross stitch. So we covered the auto digitize quite a bit. So we're going to do open as cross stitch, and I'm going to touch OK. And there he is as cross stitch. Now I'm actually going to move him over here on the white because I haven't changed. Oh, let me change that fabric to none. There we go. There we are. That's better. All right. So when you do the cross stitch, it changes everything in the photo to cross stitch. So and you can see his colors now based on I had the Janome palette picked here. I could pick a different palette, but let's just leave it there for now, and we'll play with some of the options over here before we get too far along. So when you select your piece in your properties, my cross stitch is a fill, so it's under fill, and it tells me how many colors. I could change the amount of colors. Maybe I want to go with, let's see if we can go down a little bit to 10. So it lessens the amount of colors. Maybe I could go up colors if I wanted. It's going to do 2 repeats. That means it's going to go over the cross twice. And then I can change my cell size. So if I wanted to go smaller, I don't think I do, but sometimes when you, because this is pretty small, we can go, let me think here. Let's see what this looks like, 1.5 millimeter. So it went smaller, so you have more concentration of color, but these are pretty tiny. That was a 1.5 millimeter. So if you think about the stitch length when you're sewing on your machine, what a 1.5 looks like sometimes our machines default for quilting to 1.8 stitch length. So that's what you're looking here. You're looking at that stitch, the stitch length here, the cell size. So it is tiny. Maybe I only want 1 repeat then because it's tiny. That's going to be a lot of stitching. You can see 108,000 stitches. Let's see if I do it with 1. See, it's down quite a bit with 1. Still nice color on there. So you can also work with the blending. So you have different blendings. If you do full blending, you can see it added some more pieces to it. So it has more definition to it. So depending, and every piece is going to be different that you work with, of course. So you just have to, it doesn't hurt to click around and try different things. Standard is here. We can go to low like this. So actually, can you see the difference when we were at standard? Let's go to standard. We get that belly part in there. So it does give you more options in there, so you can work with that. All right, we're going to come back. Well, actually, I'm going to show you now one other thing that you can do. There's like 2 things you can, 2 or more. When I have this here, I can save that as, and I'm going to save it as a GIF. I would normally save as a draw, but I want to show you something, and I'm going to save it as a GIF here. Sometimes when you save things as a GIF, and I'm going to call this one, we'll call it BB. It's going to be in Skill Builder, and I'll just put it in the folder. There we go. All right. And I'm going to do save. Oh, okay. See, now it's smart. It tells me what it's. I love that about our software. It tells me you can save a draw outside the hoop, but you cannot save an embroidery file outside the hoop. So that's something to remember. Okay, and I'm going to answer some questions in just a moment. I see there's a few of them. Let me go back to my save. And I have to move this window because as a draw, I'm going to save as a Jeff instead. All right. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to go to my, I don't have my browser open yet. I'm going to go to my browser and open my folder where I put those in. There's the draw I saved earlier, but the other one I put in the folder up here. There we go. Now some of these are showing, they're not showing icons. I have everything on the OneDrive, which is Microsoft. So I was using it earlier today, and sometimes when I transfer from one computer to the next, some of these don't come over till a little bit later. So I'm not going to worry about that. That's what they'll turn into Jeff files afterwards. So here's my Jeff. So let's bring him in. Now when he comes in, because he's a Jeff file, I have the ability to, let me move him off to the side because that's going to drive me crazy. I got to change that fabric. Oh, I got to change it this way. Here we go. All right. So because he's a Jeff, you can see over here, he's raw, but that's okay. I'm not going to change the cross stitch at all. I might want to delete some parts out of here. So I can select different parts and delete them. So I'm going to delete this white. Now, you have to remember when you're deleting that you are working with cross stitch. So you're going to get some of this stuff going on here. And sometimes you can select that piece, but see how it's all part of this? And so it gets a little complicated. So you can delete some things when you bring it over to a Jeff. I don't suggest doing a lot of editing in this way because once you get down to, like, I can edit nodes. Wait a minute. Oh, I have to convert it to edit the node. So let's do that. Let's take this piece and we'll convert it because it gives it its lines and curves. Now I can edit nodes. Oh, and it's going to think about it. So I really shouldn't have used this one. But what happens is it's hard to edit cross stitch because cross stitch is complicated. So what I want to caution you about is when you want to edit a piece, be cautious about what's happening when you delete something, because it may delete things that it may delete away stuff and leave things that you don't want. So you have to kind of play with that. You can also work with, see there, look at all those nodes and stuff. So if I came in here, and it's changed it from cross stitch to something else because I had to convert it. So I could play around with this and put it back at cross stitch. But to me, it's so many things could go wrong at this point. It's not worth me doing that. So typically I would leave it the way it was in the beginning, and I'm actually going to delete this one so we don't have it hanging in here causing issues. So you have to make a judgment call about that. I can show you something. Let's see, is this this one here? You can use a cross stitch fill. So this is one I brought in. This was the SVG I brought in, or you could bring it in. You could bring in a design that's turned into stitches, and you can select parts of it and come over here to fill and put cross stitch in there. So now it filled that area. So sometimes using the cross stitch fill is a little easier, and then you can use, you can have a combination of cross stitch and embroidery in your design. So maybe this part of him I want to be cross stitch, and these parts maybe I want to turn these into, a satin pattern of some sort. Let's see what we have. I want something with crosses, or maybe this. There we go. So I could add, I could add texture to my piece doing it this way. So you have options that way. So let me take a moment here and answer some questions and go back through because I saw some things happening. Yeah, that'll go. It should go away. That Jeannie is getting a update for 1.5, even though you've done your 1.6. Just ignore it. It should be okay. Renee just ordered her machine last night. Very excited. Let's see. Let's see. All right. Well, you have some fun stuff going on. Be sure, Renee, if you have questions, to post them to the Janome Artistic Digitizer page so we can answer them. Can you save a Jeff as a draw so you can work on it again? It doesn't really. So let's see. This is I think this is a Jeff. So let's go up here and do File, Save As. We can save it as a draw. Well, it's a draw. We can save it as a draw. Let's see here. I'm going to make it Lizzie 1 and save it. And then let's close it. Let's go get it. Did it not go in my folder? Where is Lizzie 1? Oh, maybe I didn't save it to this folder. Where the heck did I save it? Let's go back. I thought I saved it. Well, let me see here. Let me open this. Oh, here it is. Lizzie 1 as a draw. I don't think it makes it the same as well, now it's not coming in as raw data. So you could say, I'll have to go back and save a Jeff like from the machine and do it that way. Let me see if I have one of those. Where would that be? Let me go here, and okay, so this is a Jeff. And I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do File, Save As, and I'm going to change it to it's going to save as a draw. Let me see where it's going. It's going in my folder, so that's good. And I think we should be good. And save. All right, so let me go back out. I'm going to close this one here so we don't get confused. And I'm going to go back out, and here's the draw. And it's still raw data, so I would still have to convert it on here. So it's the same. It's not, you can't really save a Jeff. What you want to do with a Jeff is you need to convert it and to work with the stitches. You can select parts and change colors. You can reshape them this way, but you cannot give it any nodes or anything because it doesn't have any information right now. It doesn't have any stitch data for it or the lines and curves for it to be created into something else, if that makes a sense. Yeah, so what's happening, Patty says, when you bring in a photo and choose trace and the cursor just spins and spins. First of all, check to see, before you bring that in, what the DPI is on that photo and the size of that photo. That will help if you lower your DPI. You may have to take that into another program and fix it and then bring it back. It could be your graphics card. When you're doing auto digitize, it takes, especially a photo, the software, there's so many layers of color in a photo that the software is looking for everything. So it may take a very long time to convert, and sometimes your graphics card just cannot handle that. So you can make some changes in another photo thing. You can check to make sure the size of your photo is not too large. You can also check the DPI, maybe lower the DPI and see if you can get it to work that way. Yes. If you save a you still will need to convert to curves because it doesn't have, even though you saved it as a draw, it doesn't, it didn't have any information that it would need to be an actual draw. Does that make sense in a way? All right, so I wanted to show you that for both of your, for cross stitch. And let's go, I'm going to close a few things here, and then we're going to work on, let's see, we don't need to save any of these. And we don't need to save Cheeto. We're going to work on photo stitch next. So we're going to bring something in and make it photo stitch. So we're going to work again with, we'll work with Cheeto at first because he's right here. And I'm going to just crop it down to his head. And I'm going to choose photo stitch right here. Now photo stitch, when it comes in, it renders it into your cayenne, magenta, yellow, and black. 4 colors right here. It just makes it 4 colors. And sometimes your photo comes across beautifully like that, and you can leave it in color. You can come over here where the gamma correction is, and you can change that. You can up that maybe, and if that might make a difference. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you got to go lower. To get, see how it changed there. So you can play around with, sometimes you can get some great effects with that. And then when you go to stitch it out, you could actually put in a different color for that yellow if you wanted to. But what I love doing, I really like playing, and you can change your stitch density too. So if you have, you can make it more dense or less dense. Sometimes that will add definition. So you can play around with that. So if we made, let's go in here and look. So what happens with your stitches, this is stitched in layers, and those 4 colors are layered over each other, and they're done in columns across there. So if we change our stitch density, let's make it, you can see it changed the picture a little bit more. So you can go up and down with that. Let's see, let's change it to, there we go. So I changed my density, and look, it took everything away, all that away. So you have to play around with that part of it, and you can get different effects with it. The one thing I like is to play with monochrome. And let me just put that back. Actually, let me go back to my original. Okay, and we'll go to monochrome. So when you go here, and you can move your gamma correction up, oops, or down. Maybe I need to go the other way. A little bit too much. So you can play with that. You can play with your stitch density, your stitch width. That's the columns that are in here. So let's look at that. I'm going to scroll in so you can see. If I changed my width to, I don't know, let's see, 1.5 millimeter. Oops. How about 2.0? So it made some of these a little thicker. And some of these, you know, it just depends on where they are in the picture. So you have a lot of options in here. You can pick the negative. Some of your pictures will come over beautifully, and some, you know, you have to play with a little bit more. But you can get some really beautiful effects. I don't know if I have this one picture I wanted to show. This one here. Let's see. This one here, and I'm just going to take this top corner of this and open as photo stitch. So I don't like it like that, of course, but if I go to monochromatic, look what I get. I get this really interesting piece, and what I could do, you know, I could take it like this. Let's do copy paste. And I could rotate these. Let's see if I can rotate it. Oh, it doesn't want me to rotate. Okay. But I could join them up and make other, create other work with just that one piece. It's really kind of fun to play with the different pieces. So if you're working with a photograph, when you're working with cross stitch, paint stitch, and photo stitch, the only way to get rid of a background is to take it into another program and remove the background there, or make the background all one color so that you either don't stitch it or don't use it. These three programs, they take the whole photo and they use everything in there. You can remove some things by saving as a JEF and then coming back in. Sometimes you can fix it that way. Sometimes it doesn't work. That's sort of tricking the program that way when you're doing it that way. So let me show you with Paint Stitch, because this is a little tip that I did with Paint Stitch, because we don't have shapes. So let me see if I can find my picture here. Where was I in the browser? Hang on one second. Let me see if it's in my... I had set some things aside to use in my folder here. And this one, let's see if it's in here. Here it is. Okay, so see this one here? We made the whole background red. And then, I don't know why. Oh, this is one of those images. See how it has a little red up there? This is one that's it's caught on my OneDrive. So there's either an update going on the OneDrive. But we made the whole outside of this red so that when I converted it, I just didn't even stitch the red. I just stitched the inner part. So we were able to do a nice circle. So you can trick the software just a little bit with different things. Oh, this is the other one. I was looking for that PNG. This one here, so you can do different, you can do different things with it. One thing you can do is these pieces here, you can turn these into paint stitches too. So if I want, this is a JPEG, so it's a little artwork graphic. There he is, and it actually picked up some other colors in here, but I could play with that. This is one I could take to save as a JEF and bring back in and remove these white parts around here and edit some of this. Again, it's just like cross stitch. When you edit one of these, you have to be careful about the, let me see if I saved the one I did, what's hanging out here, because it layers. When you're doing paint stitch, it's layering. So let me see if it's this one. I don't know if it is. Nope, that's my cross stitch. I think it's here, but it's not going to open for, yeah. So these are kind of caught on my, unfortunately, I don't know why it's doing that. But, so is that one. This one here, let's take, okay. So this one here, I converted to paint stitch. It's a JEF. I brought it back in as a JEF. And now if I wanted to remove anything, I can select parts and remove them, or, change their colors if I wanted to. Maybe I wanted it more purpley. So I could do that, or I could delete parts. But when you delete, let's delete a little part. I'm going to delete this part here. Hang on a second. If I select that little part, let's see where that is. That's right here. So I'm going to scroll in, and when I delete that, it leaves openings in there. Okay, so you can delete, but you want to be careful about what's happening, because okay, I'm looking at Kathleen's question. So that's one thing you want to think about. Kathleen, on the ones that are cross stitch, photo stitch, and paint stitch, you don't have that option to take the background out. But when you're doing auto digitize, you have the option of removing a background before you convert it to stitches. So I think that's, let's see, can a no stitch option be applied to a background in Digitizer so stop codes are not necessary when using a multi-needle? If you're saving it with a multi-needle, it saves all your stops for you, so you don't have to input stops. Is that what you're talking about? I'm not sure. I'm not sure because I don't have a multi-needle, so I don't have a lot of oh, okay. Yay, thank you. Let's see. Oh, you all right. And then the other question was, on a Mac, how do you take a photo from the photo library? So let's see, because I haven't done that. Let me go to open. So when you go to open, I can go to my pictures right here. So it opens my pictures. And I don't have very many in here, so let's see what's in here. Nope. These are some. So yeah, so these are some scanned pictures, so they went into pictures. So you just would go to open, go to your pictures, and then whatever your pictures are, you can pick them up there. I don't know what's in my photo booth library. Oh, there. So I could pick it up there. So let's say open. Maybe. There we go. And now I can turn that into whatever I want. So if I want to auto digitize, maybe I want to paint stitch it. So let's see what happens. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Look at that. See, I amazed myself. So very easily, you just have to know where to look. Okay. So does that help, Joanne? We can find it that way. So even in your PC, you can do the same thing. You want to go to open. You can, from browser, I use browser a lot. So I do have, let me close that there. I would have to, I have to come in here. Maybe library has my photos. And I would scroll down here. Preferences, nope. So that would be one thing to, when you're looking for a particular thing in a folder like that, going to open might be easier than going to browse. Okay. All right. So, let me go back to our paint stitch, which I don't want to do that. Let me go back to this. I wanted to show you a couple things too, because we didn't get to the editing part of paint stitch. Let me move this. I have a little extra screen that you guys don't see that always confuses me. And can I make this? I'm going to make this fit in here so I don't have pink. Let me rotate my hoop. That's what I should have reminded you guys about, rotating your hoop. When you select your hoop, you can come up here and rotate your hoop. There we go. And turn it off. And I can stretch this back out again. There we go. Paint stitch will only let you go so far with moving it. So for paint stitch, here's some of your things over here. You can change your palette, of course. I can add more. Look at my little jacket came out back here too. Oh my gosh, I'm loving this. I could change my amount of colors, the density of the stitching. I could change the density, the length of those stitches that are in there. When you change the density, it becomes more full. I think I'm on, I don't know if I'm on normal or smooth. And then for smoothing, I could do high smoothing. And what it does is sometimes it takes away some of your, it adds some detail, takes away some detail. I can change my brightness. Well, not 200. Let's just go up to 20%. And maybe brightness is better. Maybe I need to go lower. And then my contrast, if I want to contrast my colors. So you have to play, ooh, that's looking better. You have to play with those two things. The one thing that's hidden when you're doing paint stitch is you can use Stitch Flow to highlight an area to sort of amp up that area. So here, like for my eye, maybe I want to do it there. So I'm going to click on Stitch Flow. And it gives me a tool up here called Subject. So I can, and I don't know if this will work here or not. I always have to try it. So it did bring I can see my glasses just a little bit more in there. So you can put it in an area, and maybe I want to highlight maybe my fingernail will come up a little bit more. So you can make it highlight an area to give it a little more definition on there. So that's what you can use your Stitch Flow. You can only use it in one spot at a time. I don't think you could do like, if this would really work well. Let's make it really big. There we go. So it did highlight a lot of parts in my face. You can see my glasses more. Let me get rid of the circle. You can see my glasses a little bit more, so there's a little more definition in there. Okay. All right, so that gives you 3 more, and I didn't put any homework on this one like I did last week, but really your homework would be to, I'm going to put the camera back on as we get to the end here, and I'll check for any questions. Here we go. There we are. Get that there. Okay. So before we go, I'll check to see if there's any questions. But really, for your homework, I challenge you, really, to try these different things. Just you don't have to stitch this out. I mean, it's 90,000 stitches. It takes a long time. I really love Paint Stitch. I've used it for a lot of different things, and I just find it really fascinating. And it sews, it like knits it together. So there's all these layers. And I mean, I could go in, I could delete some things, but my picture is really picking up, you know, I had that heart quilt behind me. It's picking up the shapes of that quilt. I may play with this picture just a little bit more and stitch this out. I just think it's kind of a fun piece. Anytime you're working with a photo and you're bringing it into the program, you can take it somewhere else first, maybe into Paint or another photo. There's lots of free photo apps you can get on your phone, and you can remove backgrounds in those. You can amp up the colors. You can do really interesting things to your picture before you bring it to the software. And these are free apps. And so you might want to check them out to work with your photos. And not every photo, like the way my photo came out, not everybody might not like how that looks, okay? Paint Stitch isn't for everybody, but it's very unique. It's thread painting at a very interesting level. So, you know, play around with your photos. A few clicking here and here, you haven't wasted anything except your time, but I don't see it as wasting your time because you've learned something from that. So, you know, don't take that, you know, like, oh, Paint Stitch, you know, whatever. Try different things with it, and you'll be able to get some wonderful, wonderful results with it. Always when working with a photograph, it is about your photograph, and especially when you're working with things on the face, it's very hard to, even when you're doing auto digitize or you're digitizing from scratch, if you're very artsy, you can really do a lot. I'm not that artsy, so like shading and that kind of stuff just I'm a little bit harder with, but you can learn all those things and just play around with the tools that you have there. Let me check for questions before we go. Oh, okay. Jeannie's going to play with a Paint Stitch. Yeah, I definitely want to do a little bit more with Paint Stitch. I have a little thing in mind, some other things I want to kind of put together for Paint Stitch. So I'm going to let everybody go for today. If you want to pop in on Thursday, I'll be back here, same time, same bat channel. It's 11 a.m. Eastern time. I don't know if we're in standard time or just Eastern time right now. And we're going to be working with creating for vinyl, both the iron-on and sticky back, because there's a few things you have to think about with the iron-on especially. All right, so I will see you then. If not, if you have questions or whatever, post them to the page and I'll be sure to answer them there. Bye for now, everybody. Enjoy and have a great day.